right, which is very similar to Gainsland's, right? The test will tell you if that side is symptomatic. The treatment is the opposite test. Right? So let's walk through that, right? If, right, and think about the concept of directional preference, right? If the patient doesn't like flexion, what direction do we go?
Extension.
All right, so if we push it into an anterior rotation and it's painful, then to treat it,
Posterior.
right? So there's that. Keep it simple, right? No problem.
Is the exam gonna be like that?
PT's easy.
Kind of.
It should be,
I don't know. I
right?
guess
Now,
we'll
if you
find
make
out.
it all complicated, then that's on you. But it should be.
I make everything
That is-
complicated.
He's like, the exam is straightforward for me. I don't know why you guys make it complicated.
All right. So, the anterior torsion test. We're gonna slightly flex the knee up. All right. We're gonna come under the knee. Our hand is gonna go on the PSIS. We're gonna extend the hip and press down on the PSIS. Right, and it's an anterior slightly lateral. Yeah, no, that's not. Right?
What's going on?
So,
oh my God.
you really want to do the contralateral side because it gets complicated to do the ipsilateral side because of the direction of force. Right? So if you do the ipsilateral side and you tell me it's a P to A, you lose. Right? Because it has to go that direction in line with the joint. So can you do it? Yes. Right? I can pick up his leg.
Yeah, and do that. Yeah. Or you can do this. So
What did you feel?
Right?
Oh, but then I'm
So
in the
he's
middle.
got a whole lot of crunching going on.
Oh, you felt a crunch?
No.
So I think that's what I felt too.
Which is
Yeah.
okay. That's fine.
No.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right? So that's the anterior. So if that test is positive, then you would do the next test as the treatment. And again, oscillate grade 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Right? So flip facing me. Scoop towards me. Facing me. There we go. All right. So for this, we got to go posterior. So I'm going to straighten out the bottom leg. I'm going to take the top leg. All right, I'm going to press his tibia against my belly. I'm going to flex the hip up until I start to get tension. Then, look, my little hands. I grab onto the ASIS and the ischial 2, and I continue to use my body to flex the hip and then use my hands to create a posterior rotation. Right? So if that anterior was painful, then to come in and do this, yeah, feels nice. Right? Now, what might be the problem with this? Flexibility,
It's a sensitive spot.
sensitive spot,
The buttock,
Patient
Right.
comfort.
buttocks region, buttocks
Yeah.
strap.
the knee.
Oh,
Right?
the
They got a
knee.
knee problem.
Oh.
They're really cranking on this.
Just
Right?
looking at the
So the alternative, right, is I can come in here,
Oh, I like that better.
Oh.
right, and do this.
Like a longer
I do
lever.
not, right, because I don't want to be between my patient's legs until I really have to be.
Yeah.
So it's a consideration.
Ah.
But
Dangerous,
this works,
dangerous point.
right? Only if they have any problems. Otherwise, I'm gonna do
Whitley,
it.
you're sick.
Right, just for that reason.
Now, are you against his knee or are you against the front of his leg? Like the,
So on that one, I'm against the front of his leg, right? And then just leaning that way.
Bottom one is straight.
Bottom was straight. Just want to get it out. Right? And again, if this one's positive, then we would do the anterior as a treatment, pick your grade. Right? And that's the easy way to treat the yes
Oscillation would be good. Does it matter if that bottom leg is slightly flexed?
because you're going to max out this side. Okay. Now, we have the supine to sit test. So this test, you go supine, is a test to determine if a leg length difference is structural or functional. Right? This is one of the tests that if you look at it and say, ooh, one leg's longer than the other, right? You should be doing before you put anything in anybody's shoes, right? The true measure, gold standard, remember, is radiographs with a computerized measuring of the leg, to say it's the same size or it's different, but this is a very quick way for us to have a good idea of whether it's good or different. Right?
Yeah, I've been noticing.
Right.
She's got leg longer.
Yeah, he called her.
She got
called
out.
Yeah,
Long leg.
she's positive. Call down.
So,
She had like 5 out of 5.
we don't want to overcomplicate this. Okay? So I'm going to try and keep it simple. Okay? We're going to start and we're going to look for that leg length discrepancy. Right? So what I'm typically going to do is in this particular case, hold it over there.
No.
Right? So when we look at my thumbs,
Wait.
right,
Got it.
Damn, guys.
so
Hold him
she's
over.
going to be a good example of this.
I'm not gonna lie, you didn't have to look. You could just see it.
So one leg is higher than the other. We can see it at the malleoli, we can see it at the shoes, right? And then, right? We can see it on the ASIS, right? Now again, this goes into those theory of those words that we're throwing away. I'm just trying to figure out structural or functional, because if it's structural, I can't fix it. If it's functional, I can. But if it's structural, then I would get a measurement and then think about playing with the shoes, right? Because that does happen, right? So with this test, we're trying to assess for that. And so what this does is we're going to set the patient in neutral, kind of like we do with the slump test, right? Then we're going to apply distraction to both legs and we're going to have the patient sit up. As the patient sits up, it unwinds all of the hip ligaments, right? Which then subsequently takes the SI joint out of the problem. So we take the SI joint out of the problem, right? Then what we have left is actually what's going on with the legs, right? So far so good? Okay. Now, with that, as the patient sits up, we're gonna look to see if the leg moves. So this leg is shorter. Does it become longer, or does the longer one become shorter?
The longer one becomes shorter.
Right? If either of those happens, if something moves, then it's functional, there's something going on with the SI joint. If it stays the same or gets worse, so it looks just like this, shorter and longer, or this becomes longer and this one becomes shorter, then it is probably something structural. Right? And then I would get it checked. Right? And sometimes even then you don't need to.
Wait, can you take your shoes off?
So we're gonna find out. Yes.
Just grab it.
Can you say that one more time?
Yes. So when we sit up, we take the SI joint out of it. So if there's actually a leg length discrepancy, nothing's gonna change because the legs are still the same length. Now, if one leg is apparently shorter because of the windup of those ligaments in the SI joint, then as they sit up, that's gonna release and we see a change happen. Right? And that could be the short going even, it could switch, right? Just any type of change, we're gonna say that the majority of it's gonna be functional, right? Which means there's something we can do about it. Fire.
The leg, if it's structural, the leg that is longer could potentially get longer.
So yes, it could.
Okay, I'm good.
Yes.
I thought it was to stay the same.
So if it gets longer, then it's definitely proving that it's structural, but there may be some functional. So at this point, we just worry about, right? If something changes, then there's something you can work on.
Okay.
If it doesn't, then you should probably investigate further for true leg length, get the x-ray, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
If you start there, then that's good. All right, so for the test, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have the patient bend their legs up. Okay, we're gonna do a bridge. So that's kind of the reset. Drop everything down, straighten out your legs. Now I'm going to give a slight distraction to the legs, and then I'm gonna have the patient sit up. Sit up. Okay. So as we do, now they look even. Right? Function. Function.
We can fix it.
Which means we can fix it.
Oh, thank God. I was worried.
You're all right. Can we fix it?
Yes, we can. After you do the anterior torsion test, the posterior torsion test, and the supine to sit test, then we'll come back, we'll fix it. Right, and we'll show you that the SI joint moves. Cool. All right, but questions on that?
Yeah. So if you do happen to like just examine it and it becomes worse, right? What do you do in that moment? Because technically you made it worse.
Right, so technically, if it makes it worse, then I'm thinking about getting the x-ray to see exactly what's going on and go from there.
There's something you could do to make it better, if you can make it worse.
Yes.
If it was
It's still
structural.
musculoskeletal in nature, but it may just be that one leg is shorter than the other.
Okay.
Right, And it does happen, right? But again, we tend to want the easy way out, and we tend to think about sticking something in somebody's shoes when we see that, right? But in her case, it's actually gonna make her worse, right? Because her body's gonna continue to adjust for what's going on, so it's just gonna be a cycle, right? Which is what we typically see. And what are the chances that somebody has gotten beyond puberty, right? And all of a sudden developed a leg length discrepancy? Typically it's caught early. So is that not that patient population, then I'm thinking it's functional, right? However, there are people out there that are less than optimal, right? So a perfect example, I had a 54-year-old female came in the door because of falls. Right? Okay, great. I go and look, and it was like a solid 2-inch difference. I'm like, all right. And then I do all these tests. Not functional. I'm like, interesting. Like, okay. And then I start asking questions. Right? And this is a perfect example of, I didn't ask the questions during the original history, but then as I started investigating, I was like, I have more questions. You can always ask more questions, right? And then she's like, you know what? Ever since I was in high school, I always had to have one leg on my pants hemmed shorter.
Wait, what?
Interesting, right? You think about it, when you put your pants on, right? Both legs same, right? She always had to have one, right, to be able to balance her out, right? So she had a true structural leg length discrepancy that went undiagnosed and untreated for, 4 years, right? And she was someone that we went, right? And for her, right, there's still cobblers out there, right? But we had one shoe built with more of a platform by about 1.5 inches, completely balanced her out, no falls.
Awesome.
So it happens, right? That person's gonna walk in the door, but that's super, super unlikely. But that's why you have to be the step better and you have to go through the test. Right? Because if you do the test, you're gonna find the information that you need. Right? And also don't be a cop out and just look at it and say, ooh, let's stick a heel left. Or an orthotic. All right? There's a time and place for that, but you gotta investigate. Right? So let's practice those 3, then we'll fix it.